Good morning, students. Good morning to all. Yesterday we have studied about the departmental undertakings and some of the examples of the departmental undertakings and the features and the advantages of the departmental undertakings. I hope you all are studied. And today also, just we will study about the departmental undertakings and we will go to the next concept. On last day, we have studied about the features of departmental undertakings. So 6 features are there. So ultimate responsibilities and the governmental financing, next accounting and audit, next managed by the civil servants, next sovereign immunity. So after that we have studied the advantages of departmental undertaking. So here what are the advantages are there mean? One of the advantages is easy formations. If you want to establish this departmental undertaking, it is very easiest one. Next, direct and controlled by the parliament. So all the managers and the civil servants also will be directed and controlled by the parliament and the legislative assemblies. Next, secrecy maintained. So what are the decided about the departmental undertaking is will be as a very secret. The secret will be maintained by all the workers. Next, less burden of tax. So when they are earning more profit from the departmental undertakings, the all earned profit will going to the government treasuries. So there is no need to pay the tax to the public. Next, instrument of social changes. By taking actions, the reasonable actions of the departmental undertakings, the social will be have some of the changes, some of the morals and disciplines will be come out from the departmental undertakings. Next, lesser risk of misuse of public money. So here all the accounting and auditing is conducted or maintained by the government auditors. So there is the lesser risk only will be there misuse of public money. Next, guided by rules and regulations of ministries. So even the civil servants are working in this governmental undertakings. So they are also going to guided by the rules and regulations of the ministries. Okay, students. So we have studied the features and advantages of the departmental undertakings. And here some of the disadvantages also will be there. Even there is more advantages in this departmental undertaking. Some of the disadvantages also will be there. So what are the disadvantages is there in this departmental undertaking mean? First one is red tapeism. So red tapeism means, I think you may know, the procrastinations. So there is too much of procedures which results in delay. So in this governmental undertaking, all the workers or the laborers, even the servants of the departmental undertakings will be very laziest persons maybe sometime. So because of that, all the work will be taking too much time. So it will be creating the delayness. So commercial organizations cannot afford delay in taking decisions. So if the governmental undertakings are undertaking some of the business or commercial organizations, if they delay, if any of the procrastination is there, so they will never improve. So the red tapeism is one of the most affected disadvantages in this departmental organizations. Next, incidence of additional taxation. So already we have studied whenever the undertaking, the departmental undertaking are in departmentals are earning the more profit. So there is no need to paying the tax by the public. But unfortunately, if any of the loss is raised in these departmental undertakings, they have to spend more money, or the departmental undertakings have to provide the more money to the government, or the government only have to take the full responsibilities on the losses. So when the losses occurs in these departmental organizations, so the loss is also going to contributed by the public. The public have to get the new tax amount. So losses incurred by a departmental enterprises are met out by the treasury. This very often necessitates additional taxation to burden of which falls on the common man. Next, lack of competitions. Civil servants are given control of these undertakings who may not have business outlook or the commercial experience. So we have studied, so the civil servants only are going to manage the departmental undertakings. But in this turn, if any of the civil servants are not having the proper business outlook or commercial experience, so there is no competition. So they run the undertaking in their own fashion without considering the sovereignty of the consumers. So if they don't have the proper knowledge in this business, they will use their own fashions or the own style of the organizations. Even if there is more rules and regulations and some of the features are there, they will never captured and followed by the civil servants. So the competitions will be very, very low. Next, casual to approach. So casual approach to work. So as officers of a departmental undertaking are subject to frequent transfers, so they develop a sense of casual approach to work. As a result, the operational efficiency of the undertaking suffers a lot. We know if you are considering any of the departmental undertaking, so all the civil servants always will be transferring often. So when they are doing like so no servants will never want to improve their personal knowledge for the business organizations. So they also will be develop a sense of casual approach to work. They will never taking any of the effort to improve the organizations. So the departmental organizations always will have the casual approach to work only. Next, government interference. So there is an excessive government interference and control in depending the organizations. Now if you are considering the private organizations, some of the board of directors only will be there and there is no government interventions. If there is no government interventions, only is enough, one of the business organizations will be improved. Because whatever we have to take the decision related to the improvement of the business organization, so the quick decision is important. But the departmental undertaking always has the government interference. So when they have the government interference, no one will can able to take the decision quickly. So this undertaking are not given freedom to decide their own policies. So centralized control leads to delay in action. So red tapeism and bureaucracy have become the limiting features of these organizations. So when the government have the more interference, no one will take the quick decisions and they will never work on their own control and freedom. Next, lack of professional management. Lack of professional management and fear of criticism. The departmental undertaking is managed by the civil servants who do not possess professional management skills. Some of the civil servants may come into the business organizations without having the proper knowledge or their proper stream. Suppose one of the civil servants may have passed in the commercial auditors and he will going to the police departmental organizations. Okay, but when they have the controversial knowledge, it will come to the criticized. So moreover, these managers could not afford to be innovative because of the fear of criticism by the minister of the parliament. So we have studied one of the business organizations as a good entrepreneurs must be taking the innovators. So if any of the persons want to bring the innovative, only these business organizations or the undertakings will be improved. But here all the managers and some of the civil servants also could not afford to be innovative because they have the fear of criticism by the minister or the parliament. Even the ministries and the related authority persons also not taking more effort as quickly because of the fearness of criticism. Next, financial dependence. So departmental undertaking is economically and financially dependent on the government budgetary allocations. Normally, whenever they are going to allot more financial facilities to improve these departmental organizations only, these departmental undertakings will be taking more effort to improve. Otherwise, if the government not providing the proper financial facilities, it will never improve. As such, it cannot have its own independent long-range investment decisions, which may bring enormous prosperity to the undertaking. So whenever they have sufficient level of the financial facilities, it cannot have the own independent long-range investment decisions. If the departmental undertakings require the long-range investment, they have to depending upon the government only. If the government is not allotted the proper or the sufficient level of the financial assistance to the departmental undertaking, so the departmental undertaking will be as lazy or how they exist on the same level only. Okay student, the departmental undertaking is over. So next one of the business organization is public corporations. This is also one of the government business organizations. So a public corporation is that form of public enterprises which is created as an autonomous unit by a special act of the parliament or the state legislature. How the departmental undertaking had been created as the same way only the public corporations also has been created as an autonomous unit by a special act of the parliament or the state legislature. Since a public corporation is created by a statute, it also known as a statutory corporations. Some of the airlines, Air India, International Oils and Natural Gas Commissions, etc. are also one of the public corporations. So some of the business activities or some of the dealing with the other states or the neighboring states, we have to create some of the corporations. So this corporations also has been created as a autonomous unit by a special act of the parliament or the state legislature. The example for the public corporation is, so the Food Corporation of India and the Tourism Corporation of India and some more corporations are there. So this is also will bring the more profit to the government. Next, features of the public corporations. So what are the features are there in this public corporations mean? First one is special statute. A public corporation is created by a special act of the parliament or the state legislature. The act defines its powers, objectives, functions and relations with the ministry and the parliament. Suppose if any of the ministries want to create the corporations on the basis of the demand of nations or the public, they will be created by the special act of legislative assembly and the parliament. So in this special statute or the act define its powers, objectives and functions and relations. So what are the powers are there, what are the objectives held by the corporations always mentioned in this special status. Next, separate legal entity. So a public corporation is a separate legal entity with the perpetual succession and common seal. So it is also one type of the joint stock companies or the statutory authorities. So even there is more ministries will come and go and the managers and the civil servants may come and go. but the continuity of the corporations always will be there, always will be in existing. So it has an existence independent of the government. So it may be created by the act of the parliament or the legislative assemblies. But these corporations have the special act, that is, it has never depending on the government. It can own properly, can make conduct and fill suits in its own name. Like a joint stock company. So these organizations also has all the rights. Next, capital provided by the government. So the capital of a public corporation is provided by the government or by agencies controlled by the government. Sometimes what are the requirement of the financial assistance is provided by the government only. However, many public corporations have also begun to raise money from the capital market. So even though if the public corporations want to require more money, it can able to gathering the money from the capital market. Next, financial autonomy. This public corporation enjoys financial autonomy. It prepares its own budget and has authority to retain and utilize its earning for its business. So it can able to issuing the shares and debentures, and it has the special rights to the financial autonomy. So this is prepare themselves its own budget and it has authority to retain and utilize the earnings for its business. So whenever they have the chance to earning the income, they can do it and they can utilize the earnings for its business improvement. Next, management by board of directors. So its management is vested in a board of directors appointed or nominated by the government. So the board of directors will be there, but the board of directors only will be selected by the government, not by their members. But there is no government interference in the day-to-day working in the corporations. So the board of directors and the members and some of the workers also will be selected by the government. But even though there is no government interventions to their day-to-day work process. Next, own staff. So a publication corporation has its own staff whose appointment, remunerations and service conditions are decided by the corporation itself. Some of the workers will be selected by the corporation itself on the basis of their qualified and their education facilities or their education qualifications. Next is service motive. So the main objectives of a public corporation is service motive, even though it is expected to the self-supporting and earn reasonable profit. So even though it has the service motive to the public, this is also has to being in requirement of financial assistance. By gathering the financial facilities, it has some of the reasonable earning objectives also. Next, public accountability. A public corporation has to submit its annual report on its working. Its accounts are audited by the Controller and Auditor General of India. So annual report and audited accounts of a public corporation are presented to the Parliament or state legislature, which is entitled to discuss this. So whenever the Parliament meeting is going to held, so the corporation have to submit their auditing and accounts. This auditing and the accounts also will be taking into the consideration of discuss. If any of the problem, if any of the loss is raised, so the public also has been the right to asking the questions. Okay, students, so the 9 features are there in these public corporations. Okay, next advantages of public corporations. When we have the public corporations, what are the advantages are there? First one is bold management due to operational autonomy. A public corporation enjoys internal operational autonomy as it is free from government control. So we have studied there is no government interventions. So if there is no government interventions, so all the managers or all the workers, all the authority persons are having the right to taking the bold management, conducting the bold management. Whenever they want to taking the good decisions, they can taking as well as earlier. So it can therefore run in a business like a manner. So management can take bold decisions involving experimentations in its lines of activities, taking advantages of business situations. So when the public corporations have the right to taking their own decisions without having any of the government organizations, it will have the bold management due to the operational autonomy, and it will get the good business like manner, and all the workers and all the authority persons also will be have the good experimentations in its lines of activities. Next, legislative control. So affairs of a public corporations are subject to scrutiny by committees of parliament or the state legislature. So even if the public corporation has no government interventions, so their day-by-day activities and their common work is going to controlled and directed by the legislative assembly and the parliament also. The press also keeps a watchful eyes on the working of the public corporations. This keeps a check on the unhealthy practices on the part of the management on the public corporations. So all the social medias and the press also will keep the eagle's eye on the public corporations. So day by day profit and losses everything have to be issued by the media. So there is no chance to arrest the losses and the unhealthy practices on the part of the management of the public corporations. So the control and the supervisions of the media also one of the advantages, because the public corporation has no chance to make a unhealthy practices in these public corporations. Next, qualified and contented staff. So the public corporations offers attractive service conditions to its staff. So because of that, all the staffs will be have the qualified and the number of contented staff. As such, it is able to attract qualified staff. Because of qualified and contented staff, industrial relations problems are not much severe. Staff has a motivation to work hard for the corporations. So whenever they undertaking the hard work, the corporations will give the good remunerations and the awards also. So all the qualified and contented staff will provide the good services to the public. Next, tailor-made statute. The special act by which a public corporation is created can be tailor-made to meet the specific needs of the public corporations. So what are the needs or the requirements or the rules and regulations, norms and conditions, everything also provided by the government, because it was already specified and mentioned all the rules and regulations and some of the conditions and the circumstances, so that the corporation can function in the best manner to achieve its objectives. So when they having the tailor-made statute, so no individual man can take a more effort to improve the public corporations, so that the corporation can function in the best manner to achieve its objectives only. without worrying about any others. Next, not affected by the political changes. So being a distinct legal entity, a public corporation is not much affected by the political changes. It can maintain continuity of policy and operations. As we studied already, the separate legal entity, being a separate legal entity, the public corporation is not much affected by the political changes. Because even the politicians may change or not, the political situations may be change or not, but the existence of the public corporations will never change. So, and not affected by the political changes and the politicians also. Next, lesser likelihood of exploitations. So the board of directors of a public corporation consists of representative of various interest groups like labor, consumers, etc. So they are nominated by the government only. So whenever they have the separate interest and the specialized skill and knowledge, they will improve and they will never exploit the consumers and other resources also. As such, there is lesser likelihood of exploitation of any class of society by the public corporations. So the public corporations only will producing or providing the welfare to the public only without exploiting the societies. Next, reasonable pricing policy. A public corporation follows a reasonable pricing policy based on cost-benefit analysis. So in these business organizations, the public or the corporations, when they have more specialized persons, or the productivity of the labor also may be as higher. So the public corporations always follows a reasonable pricing policy based on the cost-benefit analysis. They will never fixing a higher price than cost of productions. Hence, public are generally satisfied with the provisions of goods and services by the public corporations. And always they will have the believeness or confidence on the public corporations. Okay, student. So here also some of the 7 disadvantages are there. First one is disadvantages, advantages. So if you have any doubt in these advantages and the features of public corporations, please ask me, and just to take the advantages of the public corporations as your study portions. Thank you.